Hello, and thanks for joining the session. Today we're working on rewriting that podcast. Right now we are in the process of building a custom back end to manage the actual episodes. We've been trying to use Easy Admin for a while, and it just didn't really work the way I wanted it to. So what we're doing now is building something kind of on our own. And so far it's gone pretty well. The thing that we did on the last session was add a rich text editor. So if we go to our back end here, we can go take a look at what that looks like. So if we go to an individual episode and click into edit one, ooh, command bus does not exist. All right, so we got to go right into the thick of it. All right, so let's go to episodes controller, command bus. All right, so this was actually part of one of the changes that we made last time. Messenger message bus interface. That's actually, we need to change that too. Let's see if that, there we go. One of the things that we did was switch how we were actually going to be type hinting our command bus and event bus. We'll look at that more in a little bit. But the rich text editor is down here, so we can actually see this in action. If we want to try and make iTunes italic, we can save changes. If we head back into this episode, we should see that that is still italic. So it's actually putting that information where it belongs. Let's see, this was episode 55, and we should be able to see, there we go. There we go. So we can actually see the other bit that we were editing. So there's going to be a lot more work that we can do to customize how this actually looks and feels in terms of editing. There's going to be some different rules that I'll put on here, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. So we did that. We also added the Symfony Messenger component to handle some queues. One of the things we got going was we registered the buses, and that was kind of what the problem that we had earlier was about. Rather than actually creating an implementation called command bus that gets past the messenger specific bus named commands, we had somebody in chat recommending using these global binds so that anything that asks for a command bus variable name will be passed this service. I'm still on the fence on this one. This was new functionality I wasn't really aware of, so I kind of like how it works, but also I don't know if I really like it. Part of the problem was that if we leave this not commented out, since nothing uses this bus, nothing is actually consuming something called an event bus, we get a really cryptic error because it's saying the SVG extension is using or has an event bus that it's not using, but we're not passing it. So it sounds like there's someone from the Symphony core team that's actually going to look at this and figure out how to have a more interesting error in response to this so that you have a better idea of what actually is happening. But I'm going to leave it for now because it is different than the way that I'd been doing it before, and maybe it'll grow on me. All right, so we have that up and running. If we look at the messenger component, we have a messenger transport DSN. This is defined in the environment file, and I just used more or less the default value. I uncommented it and then mentioned that this is actually going to be the name of the queue. And if we look at the local rabbit management, we can actually look at the Astrocast. Well, it's Astrocast. We want to look at that podcast default. And I'm a little surprised by this, actually. It's empty. Nothing consumed that message. So I know that my computer has rebooted since last night when we did that. I thought that message would stay there. So I'm still pretty new to Rabbit. So I don't know if I have this actually set up in such a way that it will persist through a reboot. So we'll go ahead and make a change here real quick to sort of get another message in the queue. The general idea is that anytime I change the pristine media for an episode, I want there to be something happening. Essentially, I want the pristine media to be uploaded and preserved, and then I want the pristine media to be downloaded do some stuff with ID3 tags, and then publish the changed file as the actual media that people will download. So these two bits are going to be kind of next to each other, sort of related. So the way that we currently have it working is the episodes controller, when it detects right now that the pristine media has changed, which it detects based on whether it was set at all. If we look at the form here on the edit, here we go. If we look on the form here, if I don't pass anything here, it's going to be empty on the form. So it's not going to override the pristine media unless I specifically choose to do so. It's going to get the actual uploaded file. It's going to generate a new file, our own internal representation of a file. It's going to set the pristine media value for that file, and then we write to the file from the uploaded file. So we use our homegrown fly system asset manager to do that. And then we dispatch process pristine media. So the goal here is that anytime this content changes, we want to make sure that the pristine media gets updated again. The weird part here is that this is actually going to happen potentially before we've actually saved this new episode. So eventually, probably very soon, we're going to want to switch this to being handled as a part of a Doctrine Lifecycle listener. So we're going to comment this here. I haven't done many of these comments. I just want to make it clear what's going to happen here. Move to Doctrine Lifecycle Handler. And I think I'm going to mention that on here as well. So we'll do move from edit all right, just so that we remember to get back and do that, because eventually this is going to go live and this is going to fall apart, and I'm going to remember this, and then I'll be upset that I didn't document it. So this is only happening right now on edit, and this is one of the reasons, or another reason, why I would like for this to be done as an event listener, is because I'd also like to have this happen on create as well. But right now that's not the case. I'm not going to worry about it just yet. I'm going to try something else first to manage this. But first of all, I'm going to pull up Adobe Audition. I created a mini episode of that podcast just so that I can have an MP3 to work with. So this is going to be our sample pristine media. And let's go ahead and save. Yes. And then we'll export. So let's see here. Multi-track mix down. We're going to do the entire session. And I'm going to mix it down into exactly the format that we use when we do this live. So this is going to be MP3 for 32-bit 64. I think this is, actually, I'm not sure this is correct. Yeah. Okay, I think this will be good. So we'll do entire session, include markers and other metadata, and I won't open files after export. So this is going to take just a short time. All right, cool. So now what we end up with is a file in Documents. Hey, stream working. Just joined chat. It's going great. How are you doing? Let's do Astrocasts sample pristine media. All right, so we have MPEG, ATTS, layer 3. So it has everything in here that we would sort of expect. Let me double check the file size. Documents. There we go, and it's 915K, so it's extremely small, but I think it's going to work fine for us for this purpose. So I'm going to upload this now as the pristine media for episode 55. We'll go to Documents. Here we go. save changes, and if all went well, we should now have a message on our queue. Let's see. There we go. And if we ask to get the message, we can see that it is a message that it's a command, process pristine media for episode ID 13. So we're sort of in a place now where we can just reproduce this as we need to. So what we're going to do is build the handler for this. Right now we have source, we have messages, commands, and I'm going to do something similar here for the handlers. So we're going to do message handlers, and we'll do commands, and we're going to create the process pristine media handler. And the way that the handlers work is pretty straightforward. It's magic, but not really. What it does is it needs to use the invoke method. So implement invoke, and then you specify which command you accept. And in this case, it is the process pristine media command, and that's it. So what we have here now is a way to handle this, and I think I can just process it as is. So what I'm going to do now is start the message. Let's see here, wrong project. And what we can do is start the message listener right now. So we'll bin console, and we'll just run to see which things we can do. And we're going to do messenger consume messages. If I run this without any arguments, I think it might work. It's going to assume that it's listening to the default. No handler for message. All right, so what that means is I need to do some additional configuring. So let's see. I need to double check how I set this up for the other project. So GitHub. I don't remember if it was in services or not. I'll try services first. Yeah, message handler. Okay, so I actually have to do something here to tell the messenger component where things are going to be message handlers by adding a tag. So we're going to add that to services. So I'll add it here. Actually, I'll try to do some alphabetic order stuff. So message handler. Did I do that plural though? Yeah, I did. So messages and message handlers. So I'm going to change the name here. And what this is going to say is any class that lives underneath this namespace is going to be tagged with message handler. And this is what's going to allow the queue to actually pick up and process those. So what's happening here is that the messenger component, when it consumes these messages, found the process pristine media object. If we look here, if it's still, yeah, it's still in the queue. It gets that from the type. So here we see this is the type. So it's saying I have a process pristine media object. What can handle it? And it didn't find anything at all that could handle this particular message. Even though we have a handler that can process that type of message, it's not able to do anything because it doesn't know this is a message handler. So I missed that part of the configuration. So let's go ahead and try again. There we go. All right, so we're not seeing any output. The default behavior for messenger consume messages is to continue consuming messages. The thing I'm going to check now is the queue and see if it's empty, and it is. So it's actually processed the message, didn't do anything with it, but it's actually processing it. So that's a good sign. So what we're going to do now is build a way to not have to go in and upload a file every time we wanted to do our test. So we're going to add a new component, or a new command. We're going to add make command app media process. And what this is going to do is allow us to run app media process, and it's essentially just going to give us access to that command. So we'll do media process command. All right. Pristine media. And we're not going to do an option because there are no options. We're going to do an input argument is required because we're going to require this functionality, or in order to run this function, you need to specify the episode ID. So episode ID. Execute, we're going to get the argument, which is going to be renamed to episode. All right, and then we're going to do some stuff with it. We're going to upgrade this to use our, to make it a command as a service. And the way you do that is by specifying a constructor. So I'm going to do private, we have episode repository. So because we need to be able to get the, well, we aren't going to need that actually. My bad. We don't need that. So the thing we do need is the command bus. So we're going to do protected command bus. And we are going to give this the type of Symfony, Messenger, message bus interface. There we go. And then we're going to do a constructor. And to make this a command as a service, we have to make sure and call parent construct in order for this to work. So what we end up with now is a command that has access to a command bus. If our auto wiring is set up correctly, since we're asking for command bus here, we should be passed the correct implementation of message bus interface that we're looking for. So what we do here now is simply pass off exactly what we are doing in the other controller. So we're going to do this command bus dispatch new process pristine media and pass in episode ID. So it's exactly the same thing we were doing before. It's just in a slightly different way. So the thing that we had before was, let's see, episode 55 is actually episode 13. So what we can do now is bin console app media process episode 13, and that should put this on the queue for just a second. Let's see if we can load it here. It looks like maybe it was there and it came too quickly. And then we'll see that actually it had been processed because we consumed it. So I'm going to turn off the consumer now. So I'm just going to Control C that. And then we're going to run this again just to make sure that we can see that the command actually shows up on the queue. Let's see. Here we go. So this is what we ended up with. We have another message for episode ID 13. And it will go away as soon as we run this command. The other thing I want to do, though, is see what kind of other options we have here, because when dealing with the consumer, sometimes it's nice to do some other things like limit to the number of messages received. So we can limit equals 1. And what this means is that as soon as it consumes a message off the queue, it stops. So if you forget to, if you're working on a queue worker, sometimes it's nice to be able to make sure that you're only going to do one at a time. So then you can fire this up and you know that it's only going to come as soon as it gets one message, or it's only going to respond after it gets the first message. So I'm going to, from now on, run it with limit 1. And we'll be able to see right away whether there's a message on there or not, because it's not responding. All right, so this is the way that we're actually going to be able to interact with our queue without having to go through the UI. So now we can go do something more interesting in process pristine media. So the end goal is that we need to download pristine media. We need to get episode metadata from repository. We need to write metadata to MP3, and then we need to upload media. So this is kind of the steps that we'll need to take in here. So the things that we're going to need in order to accomplish this would be the repository. So we're going to do private episode repository. And we're also going to need the fly system asset manager, which is what we're going to need for both the download and the upload. There we go. So we'll need those two bits. I don't know what we need for the ID3 stuff just yet, so I'm going to have to do some research on that. But these are the big things that we're going to need to do in order to do the heavy lifting here. We're probably also going to need a object manager, because after this gets completed successfully, we want to actually write new media to episode. So we're going to need the object manager for that. Manager. All right. So, oh no, not that. Yeah. Okay. Got a little carried away with my control spacing here. All right. So real quick, I'm going to try and find an ID3 project to use. So let's go to Packagist, see what we have. ID3. So I want to find something that isn't just going to be reading. I want it to also be able to write as well. So let's see here. Most of these packages are, I'm not sure how stable they are. So let's look at the first one here, because that has almost 500,000 installs. Possibly this one and possibly this one. Just get a general idea from the page. Let's see what sort of projects depend on it. This one had a bunch of, I think I looked at this one earlier, and this had a bunch of different licenses, and I'm not sure which, if any of them are going to be suitable. So what does it do? It reads and parses, and it writes ID3 v2. I think that's probably what we need. Okay. See structure.txt. All right, so let's see the ID3 parser. It's less installs based on get ID3, which is this version. Okay, and security related bugs. So this uses that. Cases where reading IDV3 tags is sufficient, this library is more secure. It's possible I'm going to be unhappy with this library. So I want to go in and just real quickly see if there are any, if there's any support for write. Get ID3. Oof. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little scared of that one right now. Okay, so and this one is also a fork of the same thing. Libraries have an amazing. Okay. This person should probably add the deprecated flag. So I'm going to try this other project. Let's see how far we can get on it, and I'll have to just figure out how it can work with our licensing. All right, so head back here, require the package. And then let's double check the doc. So I just want to read the docs here. Where's the usage? All right. Structure.text. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna look at this too much. Let's actually look at some raw data. Usage. So let's see. It does a local temp name, buffer. Okay, so this file info is just get ID3, analyze local file name. All right, so this is pretty much the code that I need. All right, so this should work now, except this is an object. There we go. Is that right? Throws an exception potentially. Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll let that go for now. So I need to figure out how to download the pristine media. So let's do, before we can do that, we need to know which actual episode we're using. So let's go ahead and create our constructor. So it doesn't look like we need anything else just yet. And we'll do episode repository find command get episode ID. There we go. So this should give us an episode. From that, we can get episode pristine media. So we can get pristine media and use fly system asset manager to do something with it. So this is an asset manager. Write from file. Let's do get stream, and then we can pass in this object. I was going to say, I don't know if I actually implemented that. All right. I believe that's one of the things you can do with a fly system object. So return file system, read get stream. File system handler. Let's see here. I assumed you would be able to get the function pointer type thingy back, but it's possible that's not the case. Path, write files, read file. I don't think that's going to be a good idea. Read stream. There we go. So we can do return file system read stream, and then we're going to ask for file get path. All right. So this should give us a stream. Stream representing the pristine media in this case. Let's see what the ID3 project was doing. It analyzes from a local temp file name. I think maybe different file. I think getStream, working with the stream might be too obnoxious right now. Let's do write to file path, and instead let's use file system write. Let's see, read file to path. Okay. Oh no, that's doing in memory. Read and delete, rename, copy files from to. Resource. Something is here. Stream get contents. Sometimes my brain gets a little stuck on these things, which is kind of annoying. So I'm going to remove this. So I actually want to get a stream in this case, and then copy the files to a local directory. So I'm going to look at ingest to see how I did that before, because I did some stuff with this already. So fopen write mode. Okay, I'm going to do something similar here. So we'll do pristine temp file. We'll call this and then I'm going to read from one stream into the other. We'll call this target stream. Awesome. All right, so we should be able to do that here. And we'll do, let's see, source is going to be pristine source stream that we get from the fly system asset manager, and then we're going to write it to pristine target stream. So this is going to be the name of the file that we're actually going to do stuff with. So what does it return? Total count of bytes copied or false on failure. All right. Return. So if for some reason it returns false, just going to print some output inline here. We'll say print otherwise we're going to assume it's okay. So now we know that this is where our file is at. So what we can do is say $ID3 equals, and then we'll do get ID3 analyze, and then print our ID3, and we'll just see what we have. There may not be anything in there, or it may break horribly. I really don't know at this point. So let's see what goes on. All right, so what we have to do is issue a new command for our handler to pick up. Okay, so this is the information that it found. So it found the file path is some weird local place. File name is pristine media download with the temp name on it. So that's there. File format is MP3. Let's see what else we have. So we can see the bitrate looks right, mono, CBR. Streams, so there's an MP3 stream. ID3 V2. Let's see here. Okay, audio MPEG type. All right, so that wasn't terribly interesting. So what I want to do is upload a proper, well, I'm not even going to have to upload. What I can do is I can find a proper episode that had actual metadata in it. So like episode 53. So I can see that's episode 10. So what I'm going to do is run process on that episode now. And then I'm going to consume the next message. All right, so that had considerably more randomness in it. It also has a bunch of metadata that I'm hoping we'll be able to put in automatically. So we have the ID3 V2 tag contains the year, contains the date. Let's see, that was what, October 3rd. Don't know what that is supposed to be. It's possible it's parsing that wrong. Anyway, we can figure that out. But the title, the album, the artist, these are all things that I want to have added to the MP3 on its own. So this is kind of looking at things from reverse. This is what I want the target to look like. But I wanted just to make sure that it was actually showing up here. So ID3 V1. So it is actually putting some of both of these in here. So that's interesting. Let's see. I want to see where that random garbage came from. ID3 V1, the top level was different. So it had artist, didn't have this information for some reason. Interesting. So there must have been some special data encoded in here. Same here. I wonder what that is. I don't even know how I would figure that out. The one where summer got away from us. So here we have attached picture. So this is one of the things that I would love to be able to do. Genre blues. Jonathan in chat just kind of chuckled that our episode was tagged with the genre of blues. So what I think is going on here is this is the background image of our cover photo. Clearly we can't actually do anything with the data as it is right now. But this gives us a hint as to how we would need to process the information to manually add this information in. It looks like there might be some other things that are going to be kind of hairy on this that may not look like I was expecting. Format parser, file info error, describing if it's less critical. Both keys may contain more than one warning or error. Okay. So there's demos for writing. So let's see what that looks like. So demo write. Someone's been disabled. Interesting. All right, so tagging format, UTF-8. What did I see? I feel like I saw some other, I think some other encoding format in here. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Anyway, all right, so we can set options, include dependency. What? That does not look fun. Huh. All right. Set write tags, tag writer. I wonder if this is just not available unless you import it here. Include dependency, right? File name, tag formats. All right, so this is actually showing the code that would support adding a picture, which is cool. It's using, yeah, okay, cool. Tag writer, tag data. And then you ask it to write tags. So tag writer is a new instance, so this is an instance variable. You just fill it with data and then you tell it to write. Okay. All right. Well, let's see if we can do this. I guess the first thing we'll try is maybe setting the genre to something else. Common keys array. So title, artist, album, year. Title, album, artist. Year is correct, but I don't think date and time are. So let me copy these values just so that we have them. Because this is actually going to be dynamically built based on the episode itself. Year should be based on similar things. All right, so let's just start out with some of the easier things. Let's set the title, album, and artist. All right, so what we had here was new get ID3 write tags. Let's see if this works. All right. Okay, so we have a tag writer. Tag writer file name. Why do I don't know if I need file name. Tag formats to write. So it's wondering which of these formats I should actually write. Switch valid tag type. Okay, so let's do v4. I want to say I saw that actually in our output over here somewhere. Well, there's ID3 v1. I think it was up here. Here's where I saw UTF-16. Coding, ISO, okay. All right, let's just try the ID3 v2.4. So tag formats. Actually, is that an array? It is. All right. So I can actually specify multiples. So tag writer equals do 3. Wait, yeah, dot 2, dot 3, and dot 4. And I guess I can do ID3, what was it, dot 1. tag types. ID3 v1. There we go. So I'll specify all of those tag types. Overwrite tags true, because we actually want to completely override everything with whatever the new values are. So overwrite tags true. Tag encoding. Coding always gets me in trouble. Let's see, tagging format. I guess UTF-8. Let's move this here. Okay. Override tags true. Remove other tags true. Might as well. Oops. That way we can ensure that we always have exactly what we set and nothing more, nothing less. Tag data. Post key. Tag data is just magically created when it's needed. Genre. Looks like you can specify multiples of these. Okay, so title, artist, album, year, and comment. So we'll do those three. Where's tag data used? Tag writers, tag data. I'm not going to spell it like that. Okay, so tag data, title, all right, and then we're going to use our scratch information. So title is going to be generated. So we'll do episode %s, %s, and we'll use episode get number, episode get title. Title artist. One of the other things we'll have to set is the type. Right now I think the type is probably audio. We want to set the type to podcast, but we'll get to that in a bit. So let's do artist. I think we still use these values anyway. Yeah, Beau and Dave Marshall. Getting lost here. Yeah, what was the other field? Album. So these values eventually could be configurable from like a podcast entity so that we can edit them on the back end. But for right now, I'm just going to hard code them because really they are the same for every episode. What other, oops, there we go. What else do we have? Year. I don't know what dynamic data we can use to get year, so I'm not going to worry about that just yet. What I'm going to do though is write the data. Tag writer write. Write tags. then we are going to look at the ID3 after they're written. So this should actually write out to pristine temp file inline. So when we get the ID3 afterwards, it should have just the values that are passed in there by us directly. So I'm going to go over here, and we're going to do 13 again, because we're going to use our original file. And I'm going to consume it. Okay, so this is the 117-second episode. Let's see if we can at least find our tags in here correctly. And we don't. Unless I missed them, but I didn't. And we don't get any errors either. Oh, can only embed images for IDV2. Okay, so I'm actually going to remove that from our list here. So we're not going to do ID3v1. Doesn't give errors in these cases, which is interesting. So track, post, genre. Title. Upload. So tag data, is there anything else about tag data that I'm missing? Genre, track. So I could probably, okay, I can do an if check around this. So, if not, write tags, return, and we can do what was the function called? Errors. Oh, it looks like there's warnings also. Errors and warning. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, that's just bad code format. All right, so it's waiting. Let's send another message. File name is undefined. Awesome. So we just need to specify the file name. That seems really bizarre to me. It explains why it's done here, I suppose. Let's see. File name. I don't know why that's important. So let's do tag writer file name equals foo. I want to see if this is actually a tag or if this is actually going to end up writing to a different file. So it's not obvious to me which of those is true. File set to non-existent file foo. Okay, so this is weird to me. I'm guessing I actually need to set this to pristine temp file. And what it's doing is, in lieu of specifying this pristine temp file, it's filling up this tag writer structure with all of the information it needs and then getting it from there, which I guess is probably obvious when I look at it again, but it's not what I'm used to. All right, tag formats must not contain more than one version of ID3v2. Okay, all right. Here we go. So it looks like we have made some progress. It looks like it did manage to write this information out. It's double escaping this time. So I think that when it output it the first time, maybe it was escaping it. Let's see what we do here. Yeah. So if I add in this, it's actually escaping it on its own, I guess, which I guess makes sense. So it's actually being stored in the MP3 with this value. Let's see here. Real quick, we have a couple of minutes left, just a couple. Let's see if we can get this uploaded. So we've now copied the information from the pristine temp file. It's getting that information, so the next piece that we need to do is upload the media. So let's assume that eventually all of this is complete. Assume that eventually we're actually attaching the cover photo and we're attaching the background image. And then we're going to upload the new media to a new location with the new data. So what we were doing in the ingest is similar to what we'll be doing here. So we're going to want to create a new file, which I guess we've already done that here. So create a new media file, media temp file. I don't need a stream, I don't think, or do I? Actually, I don't think I need to, because I can just yeah, I can just do write from file. All right, so after I've created the media temp file location, I can do, oh, I don't even need that. My bad. All right, so let's create the file that we need. So I don't need it because we've already created it. This transition from pristine media to media kind of had me backwards there for a bit. So we'll do media file is a new file, and we're going to bring in the right instance. We're going to use the content bucket. This again should be configured or something, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're going to generate media path for the episode. And we are going to have to get the original file name, and we'll get that from the episode's pristine media. So we'll do episode get pristine media, get that's something I hadn't considered. Let's do, was it base name? Extract file name from path. Okay, it is base name. It's always nice to actually double check. So base name, episode, get pristine media, get, oh no, not the URL, get pristine media, get path. So this should give us the file name that was stored for the pristine media. We need to get the content type. That also we can get from the pristine media. So get content type, and then get length, or the content length is going to be a little different because that actually needs to come from the file we have on disk now. So we want to do file size, which I don't know if we need to do something like sync or flush or whatever you have to do when the file changes, because it might be getting cached values, but let's just assume it's going to be good here. What's the name? It's pristine. temp file. So this is going to this is going to create a new file object that represents the media file, which is the processed version of the pristine media file. We should then be able to take the episode and set media to media file, and then this object manager flush. And let's do clear, just so we're for sure not going to be keeping references to these objects longer. All right, so if we ever need to, we can still debug this. So we download the pristine media, we get the episode metadata from it, or from the repository. We write the metadata to the MP3. Now we're uploading media, and then we're writing new media to the episode, which is what we're doing here. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. If this works, I'll be pretty excited. So Navicat, just want to double check to see what the media is for this episode first. So right now we're doing episode 13. All right, so for episode 13, right now the media URL is empty. So that makes sense because we haven't theoretically uploaded the media yet. We've only updated the pristine media, which I think is closer to the end here. Yeah, pristine media URL. So that exists, and that was the Astrocasts sample pristine media mixdown.mp3. So that's the file that we exported out of Adobe Edition earlier. So it's just the small little file. So now what we should end up with is a proper media URL that has a URL that references the media directory instead of the pristine media directory. In theory, its content length should be different than what it was before. So 937, 280. Hopefully it's different than that, but we'll have to double check and see afterwards. So, all right, let's go ahead and run it and cross our fingers. All right, so it's made the request, and now we're going to process it. And it didn't give us any error. It consumed the message. Let's reload. And we now have a media URL. It has the correct looking media path, /media, has the same file name, Astrocast sample pristine media mixdown MP3, and the content length is what? 941, 344. So it is different. It's an actual different content length between these two files. So it looks like it works. Let me see if I can pull up this specific file. So let's go episodes. See if I can do ID3. Let's see if there's I wanted to see if there was a nice viewer for ID3 tag. Tag editor. No. This just seems like it should be something that would be really easy to do. Here we go. Create. I want to be able to read them. I wonder if VLC, which I don't have installed. Oh, I do. No, I don't. All right. I don't need that extra episodes there. Let's see if this file actually exists. And it does. Ooh, it doesn't. All right, so what did I not do? I didn't actually write it. All right, so this Fly System Asset Manager, we need to write from file. So we're going to write to the media file from pristine temp media file. So this created the representation of the object. This is what actually does the writing of the object. So we need to try this one more time. So send the message, consume the message, and now it's actually there. with ID3 version 2.4.0. All right. Let me see if I can open this in Finder. It's possible this would work that way. Code. Uploads. And that's 183A. Media. So I wonder if info from Finder will actually show the title. No, it doesn't. So opening it in iTunes, it is. Ooh, I wonder if QuickTime would work. If I don't have to open iTunes, that would actually be really good. View Movie Inspector. Ah, here we go. We've got the information there. It's not presented very pretty, but at least it looks like QuickTime Player is able to detect the fact that this was episode 55, the next one. There's nothing else that should have been able to tell it that except for what we actually had in the DB. We could actually probably do episode here. Let's see if this works right, because this would be pretty cool. So I'm going to change how the title looks. The next one, again, and then let's do save. And we should then be able to ask it to reprocess. And let's see if this, see if we can do, open it again. Well, looks like it's not actually changing it there. It's possible it's actually still okay. Just read it the first time. Let's see if the DB changed. No, that should be fine. Did I process it again? Okay. This is actually a good sign. So I'm going to leave it for now because we're kind of at the end of the session. But it is attempting to write it again, but it already exists. I don't remember if that's easy to fix or not. I think System Asset Manager. Do we have a check already? Exists. We do. So we can try it. So if it exists, we want to delete it. The only thing I don't like about this is that it leaves a chunk of time where that URL will be a 404, which is not really very nice. Let's go ahead and run it again. All right, now let's see if we can open it again. There we go. Now it has the proper caps, it has again on it, so it looks like it's working as expected, and it's actually making the changes. So the idea being that once we're finally done with everything before we publish an episode, we can click a button and then it will embed all of the information that is appropriate for that episode. So we can change the title right up to the point where we're publishing content. So yeah, thanks for joining. Tomorrow we'll be doing some more work on that podcast, probably working on embedding images into the MP3. We're going to be adding the cover photo and also probably the background image as well as attachments. And then later this evening, in about 3 hours, we're going to be working on that podcast, or on Astrocast site itself. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the chat, and talk to you soon.